What's up? Welcome to another episode of Updates with Mr. Warford. This is for my AP Human Geography people. We're going to do a little bit of review today. We're going to learn a couple new vocab terms, and I'm going to explain your assignment. Lately, we've been talking about diffusion. So let's look at a couple of review multiple choice. This will be good practice for our reading quizzes, our exams, the AP exam at the end of the year if you choose to take that. So let's look at some multiple choice. An area distinguished by one or more unique characteristics is a region. And remember, that's one of the 5 themes of geography. Which of the following is most likely a functional region? So we're looking at particular types. An area where new ideas seem to be circulating the fastest. The area of dominance of a particular church or sect. A sect is just like a group of people that believe a certain thing. The area that a person regards as a hometown. Or that should say the area of dominance of a television station. So you got to know the definition of functional region to get this one. That would be D, the area of dominance of a television station. So remember, diffusion is part of the theme of movement. Remember the 5 themes of geography? Movement was one of them. Diffusion is the process of a characteristic, trait, a trend, an idea, what have you, spreading across space. And there's 2 different types. There's expansion and there's relocation. And remember that under the expansion diffusion, there's different subcategories: contagious, hierarchical, and stimulus. All of these are vocab terms that you need to know. So we're going to look at some of the examples that I put in the Google form when we were practicing types of diffusion the other day. So let's look at them and talk about them a little bit. So one of them was about tattoos, about how indigenous tribes a long time ago used to cover their face or their whole body with tattoos as a cultural symbol, something that was important to them culturally. Now, other countries saw that when they were exploring around the globe, and some people got them, but in some cultures it was seen as not a good thing to be covered in ink. So people would get them in more discreet places on their body, and we see that today. A lot of people get tattoos because it's not as socially taboo. So what would that be an example of? Stimulus diffusion. So people took a trait, a cultural thing that they saw, and they changed it for their own purposes. So no longer is it your entire face, entire body is covered in ink. It's you get one on your wrist. Here's another one, Crocs. Some people got confused on this one, or usually do get confused on this one, and it's understandable, but we're going to talk through it. So this guy invented the shoe, the Croc, okay? His company was based in Colorado. He was into boats, so he went to boat shows and sold them to boat enthusiasts. He said, here's a boat shoe for people that love boats. The Croc exploded among boat enthusiasts. People bought them. Then gardeners started to see them, people that liked gardening, and they started to buy them. Then it trickled down to the American public. People especially bought them for their children. So that would be an example of hierarchical diffusion. It was first popular, it was made by a boat enthusiast for people that love boats, and then it trickled down to other people. So that's an example of a hierarchy. Also, side note, if you buy me these KFC Crocs, I will be your best friend forever. So here are 2 new terms that we need to know regarding diffusion. There are different variables that affect diffusion, or the spreading out of some kind of trait or cultural thing, for lack of a better term: distance and time. So you might have seen the word in your textbook already, distance decay, okay? Distance decay seems complicated, but it's really not. It just means there's a relationship between distance and the number of occurrences of something that you see. The further you remove yourself from a phenomenon, the less you're going to see it or interact with it. So if you look at this chart here, the level of interaction is very high when there's not a lot of distance. As you increase the distance, you'll notice that the level of the occurrences of whatever thing it is, whether it's a word, whether it's an article of clothing, whether it's an idea, whether it's a product, in some instances, the further you get away from the epicenter or the hearth of that, you're going to see it less. So what's an example of that? The amount of times you hear somebody say y'all is going to be significantly lower as you move more north or more west of the United States. So in the green, if you've traveled the southern U.S. or you've lived in the southern U.S., you're going to hear y'all a lot. As you move further away, you're going to hear it a lot less. It doesn't mean you're never going to hear it again, but you're going to hear it a lot less. There is distance decay. You're going to see it less the further you go away. The other vocab term you need to know, time-space compression. It's this new idea that suggests that time and space don't matter as much with diffusion anymore. So you'll see this, the hearth, which is where a cultural trait is, that's where the center is, that's the hub, you also see it referred to as a node. And according to this chart, the further you get away, the less you're going to see it. But this chart that's labeled time-space compression, you'll notice it's smushed, okay?
Mr. Wilkins, please call the front office. Mr. Wilkins, please call the front office.
There you go. So let's make an inference. Why might that be? Why might we see something even though we're far away from the hearth in today's day and age in 2020? It's because of technology, the internet. Improvements in transportation, mail, shipping, the invention of the smartphone. Distance decay is still happening, but it's less of a factor. People can see different products, cultures, ideas instantly with this thing, okay? With the internet and with a phone, you can see stuff from all over the world. No longer do you have to get on a ship and travel for months to go see new cultures. You can look it up right now and look at it in front of your face on an iPad or whatever. So time-space compression just tells you that distance decay is lessening the more technology and innovation and globalization that exists. Okay? A great example of these things that we've been talking about today is the Columbian Exchange. And hopefully you've learned something about that in 7th or 8th grade history, but if you haven't, we're going to read a little bit of a refresher, and there's also some other examples. I want you to identify and give a short explanation of what type of diffusion it's talking about. And then sometime in the next couple of days, we're going to review those together. If you have any questions for me, let me know. If not, peace.